You're a disappointment. My father shouted as he signed my trust fund over to my sister. She's a lawyer, and you're just playing with computers in your apartment. I didn't argue. I just smiled and left. 3 years later, their faces at the IPO ceremony were priceless. The rich mahogany walls of my father's study felt like they were closing in as he signed the final document with a swift stroke. The scratch of his Mont Blanc pen against the paper was like nails dragging across a chalkboard. There, he said, pushing the trust fund transfer papers across his desk. It's done. All $2 million will go to Jennifer instead. My name is Emma Chin, and in 2008, my family was erasing me from their lives permanently. My sister Jennifer stood by the window, struggling to mask her victorious smile as she watched our father officially disinherit me. Emma, my mother sighed from her seat on the leather armchair. If only you had gone to law school like your sister. If only you had applied yourself. I did apply myself, I said softly, watching as my father's expression hardened. Just not in the way you wanted. Messing around with computers in your apartment isn't applying yourself, he snapped, rising to loom over his desk. Your sister became a partner at Thompson and Mitchell at 32. And you? What are you doing? Building websites for small businesses while scraping by in that tiny city apartment. I could have told them. I could have revealed that what they dismissed as messing around with computers was actually the development of an ad-driven financial technology platform set to transform global markets. I could have mentioned the Series B funding meeting I had next week with venture capitalists who had already valued my company at $300 million. But I didn't. I had learned long ago that my family only saw what they wanted to see. You're right, I said instead, standing up. I'm clearly a disappointment. Jennifer deserves the money more than I do. Jennifer shifted awkwardly by the window. For a brief second, I saw a glimpse of the sister I once knew, the one who shared ice cream with me after bad days at school, who helped me with math homework before the weight of our parents' expectations forced a divide between us. Emma, she began, but I raised a hand. It's fine, Jen. Really. Congratulations on making partner. You've earned this. As I turned to leave, my mother called out after me. Will you at least stay for dinner? Your father reserved a table at Leard Down to celebrate Jennifer's promotion. I turned back one last time, taking in the scene, my father's deep-set frown of disapproval, my mother's well-rehearsed concern, and Jennifer's conflicted expression, caught between triumph and guilt. The study walls were lined with law degrees and bar association awards, yet there wasn't a single photo of me or any acknowledgement of my achievements. I have a meeting, I said. But enjoy dinner. The drive back to the city gave me time to reflect. The trust fund had never been about the money. I had more than enough of my own by now. It was about what it symbolized. When Jennifer and I were born, my parents had set up identical trusts, meant to be released on our 33rd birthdays. But a clause allowed them to divert the funds if they deemed one of us unworthy, if we failed to meet the family's standards. My phone buzzed with a message from Maya, my CTO. BCS moved the meeting up to tomorrow. You ready? I smirked, thinking of the presentation we had prepared. More than ready, I typed back. Time to change the game. When I stepped into my apartment, the same tiny place my father had scoffed at, I kicked off my heels and headed straight to my home office. The wall-mounted screens glowed, displaying real-time data from our AI system's latest test run. Numbers scrolled past, each one confirming another successful prediction, another validation of what we had built. The playing with computers my father had dismissed had led to the birth of atina, adaptive trading, intelligent neural analytics, an AI-driven system capable of predicting market movements with staggering accuracy. It processed millions of data points, uncovering hidden patterns human traders could never perceive. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Jennifer. I'm sorry about Dad. You know how he gets. The trust fund doesn't matter anyway, right? You're doing fine with your computer stuff. I stared at the message, noting how even in her attempt at kindness, there was an undercurrent of dismissal. Thanks, Jen. Enjoy dinner. Turning back to my screens, I pulled up the pitch deck for tomorrow's investor meeting. The numbers were staggering. Beta testing had proven atina could outperform traditional trading algorithms by 32%. Major banks had already begun reaching out, eager for early access to our technology. A soft chime alerted me to an incoming video call. Maya's face appeared on one of the screens, her usual vibrant energy slightly muted. Hey, she said. How'd it go with the family? I ran a hand through my hair. About as expected. Dad signed over my trust fund to Jennifer. They're celebrating at Arden right now. Maya shook her head. They lost. Then her expression brightened. You ready to show those VCs what real success looks like tomorrow? I pulled up another screen, displaying Atina's latest test results. The numbers spoke for themselves. Actually, I've been thinking, I said. What if we don't take the VC money? Maya's eyes widened. Emma, that's a $50 million investment at a $300 million valuation. That's small thinking, I interrupted. Look at these numbers, Maya. We don't need investors. We could go public within a year. Maintain complete control. And as I envisioned the look on my father's face, I couldn't help but smiled. The IPO ceremony, they'd finally see what playing with computers could truly accomplish. Maya stayed silent for a moment, processing my words. Then, slowly, a grin spread across her face. You want to build an empire, she mused. I want to build something even my father can't ignore, I corrected. Something that redefines the way the entire financial world operates. Maya raised an eyebrow. Your father is a corporate lawyer. Wouldn't he have heard about atina if it's as groundbreaking as we believe? I laughed. Maya, my father still uses a BlackBerry and thinks coding is something you pick up at a community college. He hasn't heard of atina because he's never once asked what I actually do. His loss, Maya said with a smirk. So what's the move? Cancel the VC meeting? I shook my head, an idea forming. No, we use it. But instead of pitching for investment, we sell partnerships, get them to introduce us to their network of financial institutions. We don't need their money. We need their connections. 6 months after being disinherited, I stood in our new downtown Manhattan office, watching our team of engineers refine atina in its final testing phase. The floor-to-ceiling windows framed a stunning view of the financial district, the very institutions about to be revolutionized by our technology. Emma, Maya called from her workstation. You need to see this. I walked over, coffee in hand, eyes locking onto her screen. The latest simulation results were beyond even our most optimistic projections. Atina wasn't just predicting market trends anymore. It was identifying market-moving events before they even happened. Is this accurate? I leaned closer, studying the data. Maya nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Triple verified. The AI picked up patterns in social media, news articles, and trading behaviors that predicted the Morgan Stanley merger announcement 3 days before it happened. If this had been real trading instead of a simulation, I trailed off. We would have made $1 billion, Maya finished. I exhaled sharply. Have you run this by compliance? That's the best part, she said, pulling up another screen. Everything is 100% legal. Atina isn't using insider info. It's just better at connecting publicly available data than any human could ever be. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Hey sis. Haven't heard from you in months. Parents are worried. Dad says your apartment number is disconnected. I smiled slightly. Of course it was disconnected. Our entire operation had moved into a $40 million office space, 6 blocks from Wall Street. Yet my family still thought I was playing with computers in my tiny apartment. I'm fine, I texted back. Just busy with work. Another buzz. This time from David, our head of legal. SEC meeting confirmed for next week. They're interested in the compliance protocols. That was an understatement. The moment word leaked that we were developing something groundbreaking in fintech, the SEC practically begged for a meeting. They wanted to understand our technology before it disrupted the market. Smart move on their part. Miss Chin, my receptionist's voice crackled through the intercom. There's a Mr. Thompson here to see you. Says he's from Thompson and Mitchell. My pulse quickened. Thompson and Mitchell. Jennifer's law firm. One of the most powerful corporate law firms in the city. Send him in, I said, adjusting my blazer. Then James Thompson himself walked through the door, senior partner, Jennifer's boss, and exactly the kind of lawyer my father respected. Silver-haired, immaculately dressed, exuding the effortless confidence of old money. Miss Chin, he said, extending his hand. Thank you for seeing me on such short notice. I hope you'll forgive the intrusion, but when we heard the whispers about what you're building here. Whispers? I repeated, gesturing for him to take a seat. And who exactly have you been whispering with? He offered a diplomatic smile. Let's just say certain financial institutions are very interested in your technology. They're our clients, and they asked us to explore potential opportunities. I tilted my head. Does my sister know you're here? His smile flickered, just for a second. Jennifer? No. This is strictly confidential. Though, I must admit, I was surprised to learn she had a sister in the tech world. She's never mentioned that she has a sister who plays with computers. I finished dryly. I imagine she doesn't bring me up often. Before he could respond, Maya appeared at the door, tablet in hand. Emma, sorry to interrupt, but the Goldman Sachs team is here for their demo. I caught the subtle way Thompson's eyebrows shot up at the mention of Goldman Sachs. I could almost hear the gears turning in his head as he recalculated my worth. I stood, offering a polite but firm smile. Mr. Thompson, I appreciate your visit, but I have another meeting. If you'd like to discuss potential partnerships, our legal team would be happy to schedule something. He rose swiftly. Of course, Miss Chen. But whatever Goldman is offering, we can match it. Thompson and Mitchell represents half of the major financial institutions in the city. I walked him to the door, a strange satisfaction settling over me. It's not about the money, Mr. Thompson, I said, holding his gaze. It's about changing the game entirely. I'm sure you understand. As soon as he was gone, Maya smirked. You enjoyed that, didn't you? I exhaled, amused. Maybe just a little. How long before he tells Jennifer? She asked. I considered. Given that her firm represents billions in financial interests? 5 minutes. Right on cue, my phone buzzed. Emma, why didn't you tell me? Jim Thompson just walked back into the office looking like he'd seen a ghost. What exactly are you working on? I put my phone away without responding. There would be time for family revelations later. Later. Right now, we had a demonstration to run. The Goldman Sachs team was already seated in our conference room, 5 executives in tailored suits, their carefully composed expressions failing to mask their anticipation. Their presence here was a power move. Landing Goldman as an early partner wouldn't just be a win, it would open every door in the financial world. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, standing at the head of the table. What you're about to witness will fundamentally reshape how markets operate. But first, I need you all to sign these NDAs. The morning of our IPO, I stood before my mirror, adjusting my suit. Chanel. A knockout. My parents wouldn't recognize the brand, but they would recognize the difference. On my desk, the Wall Street Journal lay open, our company's impending public offering splashed across the front page. Atina set to launch biggest tech IPO of the year. Expected valuation, $800 million for days. My phone had been buzzing nonstop. Jennifer, my mother, even my father, each one had tried to reach out. I let the messages pile up, unanswered. They'd all be at the ceremony anyway. The invitations had gone out weeks ago. Ready for this? Maya appeared in my doorway, her usual casual attire replaced by a sharp business suit. Born ready, I said, grabbing my presentation folder. How's Atina performing this morning? Maya grinned. Like a dream. Latest analysis shows her predicting market trends with 99.7% accuracy. The trading floor is buzzing. Everyone knows this is going to change everything. At the stock exchange, a crowd had already formed. Financial reporters lined the entrance, cameras flashing as we approached. I caught snippets of their coverage, youngest female CEO to take a company public. Revolutionary AI trading technology already securing contracts with top financial institutions. Inside, the air crackled with anticipation. Our team stood gathered near the podium, alongside representatives from every major financial institution. And in the front row, my family. My father's face was a battlefield of emotions, pride clashing with regret, confusion warring with awe. My mother kept dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. And Jennifer? She just stared at me, as if truly seeing her sister for the first time. Emma. I turned. My father had stepped forward. We had no idea, no, I said, calm and measured. You didn't. Because you never asked. Before he could respond, the exchange president called me to the stage. It was time. I stepped up, facing the crowd as the trading floor fell silent. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, my voice steady, strong. 3 years ago, I started coding atina in a tiny apartment. People called it playing with computers. They said I was wasting my potential. They couldn't see that I was building the future. I found my father's eyes in the crowd as I continued. Today, Atina processes more financial data in a second than all of Wall Street could analyze in a month. She predicts market movements with near-perfect accuracy, all while operating within strict ethical guidelines and legal guidelines. But more importantly, she represents what's possible when you believe in your vision, even when no one else does. The ceremony unfolded according to tradition, speeches, handshakes, the ringing of the bell. But the real moment came when our stock price flashed onto the big board. The room erupted in cheers as the number soared past our projected opening. By lunchtime, my personal stake in the company was worth over $300 million, more than 100 times the trust fund my father had so casually signed away. After the ceremony, my family approached hesitantly. Jennifer spoke first, her lawyerly composure finally cracking. "Emma, I'm so sorry." Her voice wavered. "All this time, when you tried to tell us about your work, save it," I said, though not unkindly. "You all saw what you wanted to see." My father cleared his throat. "Princess, about the trust fund, keep it," I interrupted smoothly. "Jennifer earned it. Just like I earned this." I met his eyes. Sometimes, the best thing someone can do for you is believe you'll fail. It makes success that much sweeter. "But we're family," my mother protested. "We should have supported you." I glanced around the room at my real family, Maya and our team. The people who believed in the vision, back when it was nothing more than lines of code in a cramped apartment. "You're right," I said, "we are family." I smiled. "Which is why you're all invited to dinner tonight. I've reserved the private room at Lear Dan. I hear it's a great place to celebrate success." My father's face tightened at the reference to that dinner 6 months ago. But after a pause, he managed a small smile. "We'd be honored." Later that evening, as my family marveled at our company's technology and success over expensive wine, I thought about the long road that led here. The nights coding while they assumed I was wasting time. The meetings they dismissed as playing with computers. The victory they tried to hand to someone else. My phone buzzed. A message from Maya. "Stock closed at double our projected value. You're officially a billionaire." I glanced across the room, watching my father struggle to explain to his country club friends how his disappointing daughter had built an empire right under his nose. Success, I had learned, wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about proving myself right. "Emma," Jennifer said, pulling me aside. "I need to tell you something." I raised an eyebrow. "That sounds serious." She exhaled. "After Jim Thompson came back from your office that day, I started looking into everything I could find about Atina. And I started buying stock. Every company that showed interest in your technology, I invested in it." I blinked. "You believed in me?" Jennifer gave a small grin. "Even if I didn't show it." I tilted my head. "Did you make money?" She smirked. "Enough to pay back that trust fund 10 times over." I nodded, considering. "Good, because I'm going to need a lawyer I can trust for our next expansion phase. Someone who understands both technology and family." Her eyes widened. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a chance to be part of something bigger than both of us." I extended my hand. "What do you say, sis? Ready to play with computers?" The next morning, I stepped into our office building, now officially Atina Tower. As I passed through the lobby, I spotted a young intern coding on her break. Something about her, the quiet focus, the determination in her eyes, reminded me of myself. Back when everyone thought I was wasting time with computers. I stopped beside her. "Keep at it," I said. She looked up, startled. Recognition dawned in her eyes. "Miss Chen, I read about how you built Atina. My parents think I'm crazy for choosing programming over law school, but you have a vision." I finished for her. I smiled. "Hold on to that. And remember, the people who underestimate you today, they'll be reading about you tomorrow." As the elevator doors closed, I thought about legacy. Not the one my father had tried to force on me, but the kind you build yourself. One line of code at a time. Atina wasn't just changing the financial world. She was proving that success doesn't always look like people expect it to. And sometimes, the best inheritance isn't the one you're given. It's the one you create for yourself.